Hi, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Rentvesting podcast. This week, it's been an interesting week because smashed avocado, strangely, has dominated our news headlines, particularly within the property space. And look, when it comes to breakfast, smashed avocado is actually pretty low down the priority list when it comes to choices. Geez, from a hipster perspective, it doesn't even get served in a jar. I'd much prefer something like a decadent donut with ice cream and bacon and a bucket of black coffee to wash it all down. And look, I'd be happy to pay $22. I'd probably be happy to pay more than $22 because it would be that damn tasty. Anyway, today's podcast has nothing to do with smashed avocado, but more about the headlines, the misconceptions, the bullshit that is actually pushed through our various news feeds. So, let the rant begin. The good thing about Mr. Salt's comments regarding this whole smashed avocado fiasco is that we're having an outcome which is centering around a bit of a debate around housing affordability. Yes, property is expensive. Yes, property has always been expensive. Are a younger generation increasingly getting pushed out of the property market? No, I don't believe that's the case. And I hope that in itself is enough to cause a new round of debate. While the hype has been around breakfast, little attention has actually focused on the Australian Bureau of Statistics, who are quite likely incorrectly reporting on the figures relating to first home buyers. The ABS recently revised down first home buyer market share from 14.1% to 13.2%. And this was just the other week. Now, the NAB economics team, they shot this down. What the NAB Bank is actually indicating from their June quarter survey of property professionals, they've reported that nearly a third of new housing was actually bought by first home buyers, and more than a quarter of established housing purchases were by people who hadn't previously owned a property. That's a rather different story to the usual first home buyers being priced out of the market headline that's been running throughout, the housing boom over the last several years. It's getting a bit thin. Now, the ABS, they've been getting curry for some years now because they only report on buyers who receive the first home buyers grant or are actual owner occupiers of those residents. The NAB survey includes first home buyers who are joining the landlord class, or as we've spoken in previous rentvesting podcasts, rentvestors that are emerging in our nation. Now, while most of the negative gearing pie does go towards the boomers versus us Gen Y folks, we're certainly getting a lick of that pie as well. And we're also eating $22 avocado and toast for breakfast. Now, according to the NAB report, first home buyers made up around about 18.75% of new housing market over the past year, compared to 17.4% in 2010, the year the survey actually started. Now, this is actually a 1.35% increase. This kind of makes the ABS data look a bit nonsense. All the bullshit about affordability crisis and first home buyers disappearing could now actually be pointed to a miscount. But most newspapers won't publish a headline like this because they're drunk on the idea that the Aussie dream of home ownership is dead. As I've said in previous podcasts, it's not. The market is just reinventing itself and more people are choosing their lifestyle and rentvesting. It also reported that first home buyer numbered 17.22% of the existing home market over the past year. Again, an increase from the 16.56% in 2010. An increase of 0.66%. It's a small increase, but it's an increase all the same. The home ownership dream is alive and well, and people are now just letting the investment strategy do the heavy lifting. Some aren't even that excited about home ownership at all because the thought of taking on a mortgage for them is just simply overrated. Instead, they're pursuing entrepreneurial activities or they're investing in other asset classes. You can eat your fancy breakfast and still grow an asset base with the money that you can actually afford. More and more people are doing it, so investigate it for yourself. Learn more about what actually interests you and go about living the life that you want to actually live. So that's it. Rant over. To finish, though, I would just like to say a very big thank you to listeners who do share their feedback, their stories, and their own ideas with me. I think it's really pretty cool, actually, so keep it coming. And you can find me on all the regular social media channels, so drop me a line. And excitingly for me, rentvesting.com.au is only a matter of days away from launching, so check it out. Like us on Facebook and see the latest information from almost 30 different contributors now, and that will be increasing week on week. Plus, on Facebook, I think I've only got 3 likes on the Rentvesting page. It's not something that I've actually been actively promoting, so it needs a bit of a boost. So jump on there, give me the thumbs up, and everyone, thank you very much for listening. Until next week, bye bye.